Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the episode. Now let's dive in. About a month ago, a user named Marshall Marsman made a post to the Internet Mystery subreddit detailing a strange piece of medicine his mom had given him. The post was entitled "My Terrifying Rabbit Hole of 666 Tub of Rub and the International Corporation of Lost Structures." Here's the image attached to his post. Hey, looks kinda normal, right? I mean, something you might have picked up in the 90s or early 2000s, so not much to worry about. Oh yeah, except Satan's 3-digit identification code is all over this thing. And knowing that this was a real taboo thing to put as your brand name, Marshall began his dive to discover what exactly the origins of this tub of rub were, and what he uncovered was really weird. If you reverse image search this tub of rub, you'll get two different possibilities, the historical and the occult. On one hand, the historical is that in the early 20th century, a pharmacist named T.S. Roberts Sr. began his career with the infamous number. Allegedly, I add, a black preacher came into his store asking for a remedy for his illness. Roberts gave the preacher his special concoction, writing a prescription slip on the 666th page of his notepad. If this is a true story, the irony is not lost on me, trust me. Evidently, the cure was such a success that the preacher's whole congregation flooded Roberts' pharmacy, asking for the 666 prescription, and Roberts saw his opportunity. Rather than coming up with a lame name like heroin, he branded his product as Roberts Remedy 666, and things blew up for him, with the company at one point even surpassing the size of Vicks, which is quite something considering they've made competing products. Things continued to scale for Roberts, and he brought several new drugs into the fold, selling all of them under the brand name 666. However, as the decades ran on, Roberts passed away, and so did most of his company's success. Time and new FDA drug rules made his special sauce pretty much unsellable, as the reason it was so effective was that it was 40% alcohol. Yes, 40. So giving this to children was pretty questionable, and to pregnant women, well, you might as well just pre-order a third eye. But Cooper, it was only 40% alcohol. What was the rest? It was a combination, including mostly codeine, which is a high-powered opiate. One description of taking the drug was that it cleaned you out and then made you pass out. In 1986, the headquarters for the 666 brand office was torn down, and they moved to smaller offices, and then this continued until today, where all that remains of the company are the few drugs that they still own patents for, a small office, and a manufacturing facility, likely in Mexico. And it's worth noting that this Vapo Rub is not one of these few products they still sell, and they seemingly stopped selling it somewhere in the 90s. Altogether though, even though it's a pretty creepy company, it's kind of cool that over 100 years later, it's still family run. But this, as I promise, is only one of the two stories told about this company. The other comes from an archaic website, last updated in early 2002, that is one of the only existing repositories for the tub of rub image. And this website is really weird, and that's where we get into some of the occult connections. The website operates under the name International Department of Local Aesthetics, and it details a project named SPAI, or the Satanic Placing and Advertising Initiative. The website is mostly gibberish, detailing a series of corporate schemes including Enron and WorldCom, where billions of dollars of profit were falsified and countless lives destroyed. Then goes on to rant about that for a little bit, and then yaps for a while about absolutely nothing. But interestingly, it does include some really early advertisements for the 666 product line that you can hardly find online anymore. And beyond this, the website includes some bio links for some of its authors, including a really odd link to a pornographic schizo note written by, I presume, the author about a woman he saw. It's really gross, and I don't advertise checking it out. In fact, after sifting through the site some more and following some related links, it for the most part seems like this is just some edgy made-up lore for the company and some other things surrounding it. Overall, despite what it might look like at first, there's actually not a whole lot hidden here. It's mostly just made up. So circling all the way back to Marshall Marsman's post, the tub of rub he has is from a real company, and it's likely one of the last in existence because I don't think it's been made for like 30 years. And as for the 666, it's an unfortunate example of propagating satanic references in numerology for advertising purposes. Beyond that, it doesn't seem like much else is going on here. But the reason it's so hard to find any info about the tub of rub is because the product is from a different generation, like we talked about, has been made in like 30 years, and the company itself has rebranded from 666 to New Genesis Monticello Drug LLC, and none of the drugs they sell today have the 666 branding any longer. Therefore, outside of the bizarre nature of the company and its satanic roots, the only other weird things about this is that the user's mother gave him a tub of rub, which is likely 20 plus, 30 plus years old. I'm not even sure where you would get that. I'm seriously wondering if she's just got a stockpile at home or didn't even realize what she grabbed, but who knows. Certainly weird though, and I think that might be the real mystery of what's going on here. This post by Kumbafard has been milling about for a few weeks now, so I thought I should take a crack at it. In his post entitled, "Does anyone know the origin of this photo of a man actively rotting on a couch?" The entire question Fard gives us sums up to who is this guy, what's happening in the photo, and when was it taken, and how did it get online. And if I had to guess, this was not the image this man wanted to be known for, but it has left us with a rather interesting internet mystery. At first, this looks like a dude who gave up on life, and in all fairness, it seems that way, but a little deeper, we begin to notice some things in the image itself. For instance, the ages of decay in the room, including the stains, burn marks, and general state of the place, it could be nothing less than several years of squalor this dude has been existing in. Some of the stains in the image are hard to place, like this one, which I thought looked like blood, but really who can tell in all honesty, and being truthful, I don't really think I want to know. In addition to that, surrounding the guy are a series of objects that are out of place to you and me. The shirt is decades out of style, although kinda dank, except for the vomit stains. The beer cans in the background are something of the 80s and 90s, and the glass Gatorade bottle is the dead giveaway that this photo was not taken anytime recently, because they stopped making glass Gatorade bottles in the 1990s, meaning the youngest this image could be is roughly 30 years old. Looking a bit deeper, I researched the history of Gatorade logos and their glass bottle usage and found a commercial from the 1980s that contains several different images of Gatorades in that period, and their logo seems identical to the variant we're looking at in the original image from Reddit, making the timeline for when this image was taken as sometime during the 1980s, and the latest being 1990, because after that point things shifted for the logos and for how they bottled Gatorade. So how does this help us? Well, it gives some context that this is a pre-internet image that was popularized by the rising internet. An interesting phenomenon, but it doesn't answer the original question of who this guy is, and it certainly doesn't tell us what happened to him. But before going down the rabbit hole even further, it's important to note that this is not originally a digital image. It's a digital picture taken of an actual photograph, and we can tell because of the vague lines on the photograph and the half-written cursive words on the photo itself. Worth noting as we begin to reverse image search this, because as we do so, we should be able to find less pixelated forms of the image, because the earlier versions will have been copied and pasted to the internet fewer times over the years. We can also assume that when we found the original, it will be a larger image, showing more of the rotter in the room. And as I tin-eyed this thing, I was not really surprised to see that this has been used in a number of memes over the past 10 years, including several repeats on Reddit, because apparently no one can be creative anymore. But outside my little rant, I did find an Imager link that when opened reads the following. I was shuffling through old family photos when I came across this. I don't even. And unsurprisingly, this may actually be the truth, as the Imager link is the oldest existing repository of the image online and is by far the clearest iteration I could find. Moreover, it's the largest image, showing us by far the most of the rotter in the room itself, extending several feet backward from the image we began with from Reddit. Which isn't surprising because a lot of these websites have specific upload sizes and require you to shrink things down if you want to post it to the platform. And the picture itself on this link, although clearer, doesn't elucidate us much more than that, although I will be the first to say that in this version, I am made even more to think that this giant stain is either blood or vomit, or both, and this dude is existing in peak filth. The logo on the Gatorade is also a fair bit clearer, and it seems pretty much certain that what we talked about earlier as the date being 1989 or 1990 at the latest is just about as accurate as we can get. Meaning this photo existed for some 23 odd years at least before it ever made it online. And the dude in this photo, despite cropping up online several times over the last decade, has yet to be identified. We did manage to get a few steps closer though, because we know almost the exact time period when this photo must have been taken. In addition to that, we also have the most high resolution image, so maybe whoever posted this will come forward and alleviate our desires to know more, or it may continue to be a mystery, since despite our findings, I still can't answer who this guy is. Why his face looks like he's just seen death, well, that's actually not that surprising. Look around, and how this photo found its way online decades after the events took place in this image. I don't know, but I certainly hope that this man did get his life together, because this is no way for a human being to live. And I sincerely hope those stains everywhere aren't blood, because if so, then perhaps this already dark mystery will have a much darker evolution that one day in the future we may just come to know. I often read through a lot of comments from people when researching for answers to the various topics we cover in these videos, and sometimes I encounter the absolute dumbest takes on earth. So I'm going to start a series where at some point in the video, I'll call it the stupidest thing someone said that I read, and without further ado, here's the first entry from user Sterlex. There are beers on the table and probably drugs. This is a dude who's been partying in a trap house. He looks generally clean and healthy. There is no mystery here. Could you imagine the world if this was the standard of generally healthy and clean? Everything would smell the way Indian street food tastes. And to you, Sterlex, if this is what you claim is healthy and clean, I would hate to see what you consider dirty or gross. I gotta assume this is either a bot or a Discord mod. Either way, wildest take of the week goes to you, sir. But don't fret, we have one more image of unknown origins, and this one is quite the doozy. Unlike the rotter, we know this image appeared online first, and according to the Reddit post, it originally surfaced sometime in 2021. In a post entitled, "Could someone help me find the source of where this image came from? I can't find anything online." Proud Candy 965 tells us the following. He came across the image in a TikTok video back in 2021. It stood out to him because the account that posted the image has never done anything like this and was mostly just drawings of characters. He doesn't know what the image is, who's in it, or much of anything because the account that posted it was small with only a few likes and views and has since been totally lost to time. But he did, however, manage to save the video back in 2021 because it was just so weird to him he wanted to make sure he had it, and here it is on screen now. Weird, right? But very few clues. What stood out to me and the majority of people as most odd about this image, nearly all the faces are beyond recognition, but a few are more visible than others. On the top second row to the left, we are very likely looking at a photo of Anne Frank, and as one commenter suggested, in the bottom row, second from the right, the photo we are seeing is that of a young man named Etan Patz. Etan disappeared on May 25th, 1979 from the school bus stop in Soho, New York. What happened to him was never confirmed, although it's very likely that someone took him, and lots of people have admitted to it over the years, but no one was ever actually proven to have done it. Even stranger is that in the almost 50 years since it occurred, his case has been reopened several times, leaving many to believe that both the perpetrator and possible evidence are still out there. I mean, this kid was a big deal and still is. He's the one that inspired the National Missing Children's Day, which President Reagan set to be on his birthday, May 25th, every year since 1973. And Etan was also one of the first children to show up on the milk cartons. But in spite of all this, nothing conclusive has ever emerged, meaning the perpetrator is possibly still at large. So assuming you know the Anne Frank story, that means that at least 2 of these 9 faces are those of deceased children. An odd thing to post online for certain, and when you add the context of children who faced unimaginable horror, when you relook at the original image that Candy posted to Reddit, you notice that all the faces in these windows seem to belong to children. Unfortunately, without prior knowledge of who these children are, it's super difficult to research because the faces are so distorted and blurry. I tried running them through an image upscaler and even tried manipulating the images in Photoshop, but it was to no avail. They're just too artifacted and unrecognizable. But I really wanted to include this image here because if you have prior knowledge of what each of these kids normally looks like, I think you could distinguish them. So I call out to you guys to see if you can learn something about who these children are, because this may be a gateway to something much darker. Considering that Etan Patz's case remains open, I wouldn't be surprised if the others are unsolved as well, and maybe for some odd reason we're being handed this missing link. By whom though, I have no idea. The situation is very strange and who really knows? This could just be someone online with a sick habit, but it also could be something more. I don't know, but I think it's worth a shot. So please let me know what you find in the comments below. I looked through hundreds of missing children who disappeared between 1960 and 2000 and found several people who I think share generally similar facial structures to what we can distinguish in each of these images, but I'm limited to my own opinion, so let me know yours. Overall though, this is a very intriguing mystery and I want to see where this goes because it certainly deserves more notoriety than it has received. Now that is pretty freaking crazy. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment because I love hearing your guys' thoughts and reading your comments. But most importantly, do not forget to share this video with your grandmother because she would love to see what the young ones are up to. And a sincere thank you to all 6,000 of you guys. This is a fun journey and I'm really grateful for each and every one of you guys, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.